to VFD Vibes, your place for all things related to variable frequency drives. If you're interested in how to make things turn, or manufacturing technology in general, then this is the place for you. I'm your host, Greg Weichman, and today we're diving into a topic that's central to how Yaskawa does business, the distribution partner model. Why do we rely on it? What are the benefits and challenges? And how does it continue to deliver value in a world where buyers expect faster access and more transparency? Joining me to cover it all is Josh Julius, Yaskawa's Industrial Channel Manager. Josh has spent many years working directly with our distributor partners across North America, helping them grow, enabling them to better support their customers, and making sure Yaskawa's channel strategy continues to evolve in a changing marketplace. Thanks for joining today, Josh.
Hey, Greg. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about your background and your role as channel manager at Yaskawa?
Yeah, so I've been with Yaskawa since 2014. I started out in our tech support department working with the drives over the phone. So you get to troubleshoot, you get to understand programming, you get to understand what all the fault codes mean, and you kind of get an idea of how the drives are operating in a bit of a black box. The next step I took was into an outside sales role where I got to expand my knowledge a little bit further. You get to see all the equipment that the drive's working with, what machines the drive is going to be landed on, all those applications that you're only really talking about over the phone. You can kind of get your hands on it. And that was a really great experience for me because I got to work with some awesome distributors down in Georgia. That was the territory that I had back in the day. And that's really kind of where I got to understand how we go to market, how we work in conjunction with our channel partners, and really how that synergizes and makes us a really strong offering together. Then back in 2019, I moved into the current role that I'm in right now, which is our industrial channel manager. So at the end of the day, I always like to say I'm an advocate for our channel partners up at the factory. I try to find ways for us to be better partners to them, implement policies where we can help their teams understand how to do business with us better. And ultimately, my end goal is to help grow our industrial drives business with our channel partners in mind. It's been a really great ride. I love working at Yaskawa, and I love the channel partners that we have. We probably, in my opinion, got some of the strongest channel partners in the industry out there. And so it does make the job much more enjoyable working with people that understand the best practices on how to be successful in our world.
Yeah, and it's great to have that sales experience where you've worked with the channel from a different angle and how to work with them, how to help with the needs, how to make a partnership that makes both of us stronger. And in my past life, I came from the channel myself. So I'm a huge proponent just because I lived in it for so long, and I've seen the great people and the work they do. And it's so much fun to get to work with the end customers and have that relationship. But some people may not be familiar with what we mean by a distribution partner model. So can you help us understand what that actually means?
Yeah, so you may hear me use the terms distributor or channel partner interchangeably as we talk over the course of today. But ultimately, we go to market working in conjunction with our distributors. We rarely have direct users or OEMs that we're selling to. The vast bulk of our drives business is working through a distributor. And we work with distribution because they are much more regionally focused. They're a force multiplier for us. If you think about our sales force can only cover so much ground. And so we need additional support to help our customers out, whether that's from educating them on the products and doing training. They also come to the table and bring other products within their portfolio that we don't offer, which is a really strong offering. Usually when we go to market, we say, you want to use the best drive in the business, go with the Yaskawa drive. If you need some other things like a PLC or some type of switchgear or breakers, our distributors can source those products and add them as an accompanying value alongside our drives. And so that's where we really synergize well with our channel partners.
Great. Yeah, again, back to my channel days, we were really focusing on solution selling. And the nice thing is we had multiple lines and we could bring in new lines to round out solutions. So we look for those channel partners as Yaskawa now that can really round out a total solution. Today's technology is getting ever more connected and smart and intelligent, and our products fit in with those solutions, and our partners help integrate those and build them for our customers. You kind of answered my next question already. I was going to ask why we go to market through distribution. I think there's a couple more bullets you can hit because it really is that local arm, everywhere from inventory to regional knowledge.
Absolutely. So our channel partners, not only is there the benefit of helping us with our coverage and servicing our customers, but they can be the masters of specific verticals and industry processes that we may have a more surface level knowledge of. And that kind of comes with the customer bases that they're supplying to. Another thing about channel partners is they can help us with that last mile logistics function because they have product on the shelf. It might take a couple of days for us to ship anything out of our facility to an end user or customer if it's not an expedited order. But if our distributor has the product on the shelf, they might be able to put it on one of their trucks and drive it down the road and get it there in a couple of hours. So it's really beneficial for instances where the customers need something right away. Additionally, our distributors being local, they have a lot of relationships that are already established with customers that we can grow into over time. And so it really is just a way to help bring us into the fold with our customers a lot more easily.
I could see that regional knowledge being really important. We have fantastic tech support that knows the product, and we do have applications engineers that are great at customizing our product for applications, but some industries are regional. Think of oil and gas has very defined regions throughout the country.
Right.
And the distributors that live and breathe in that area are going to know oil and gas better than we ever could because they deal with it day in and day out. So that's where we can combine our expert product knowledge with their expert application and industry knowledge and really create a stronger relationship with two of us than either of us could have on their own.
And I also see it as we can be the component experts in that regard. So they have the wide breadth of industry knowledge. And what we can bring to the table is, hey, you're using our drive specifically. We can help you with the functionality and programming, startup, troubleshooting, anything that goes along that line to make your processes run more efficiently in the entirety of the system.
So we keep talking about this value, but can you give a real-world example of when our channel model really proved its value, maybe in a time-sensitive or complex application?
Yeah, actually, I can think back when I was in the field. There was a customer that had been using a competitor's drive. It was at a plastics extrusion plant, and the drive ended up blowing up on them, and they needed to get a new one installed quickly. Before we put the drive in, we wanted to make sure, hey, is everything alongside in the process working as intended as well? And not only was our distributor able to get a product off their shelf that they had in stock to that customer, but they did some troubleshooting preemptively on the competitor's drive that had failed, and they had actually found that the brake clutch on the motor was bad and it was burning out the IGBTs in the other drive. So they were very thankful because they had their own teams really scrounging to find what the problem was, couldn't find it on their own, and our distributor came in as a trusted advisor to help pinpoint exactly what the problem was and provide them a solution with the new drive. So they were up and running just in a couple of hours. That's one thing I think a lot of people don't take into consideration is the cost of that downtime. And a distributor can really come in and save the day by eliminating the thousands of dollars that a production line may be losing because it's not in full operation.
Well, we have applications guys that can travel. From the time you get the call, you have to book travel. Right. You have to figure it out. It could be several days, right?
Absolutely.
Where, again, our distributors are that local arm that could be there often within hours. As a manufacturer, what are some of the challenges we face in supporting our distribution partners?
I think one of the biggest challenges is that there's not a one-size-fits-all solution in supporting our channel partners. They all have very different makeups in the industries they serve, their own organizational structures, the paths they go to market, the values that they bring might be very various as well. And so we have to be flexible as a manufacturer in order to help respond to their best fit in how they serve their customer base. You kind of have to learn as you go what are the best practices that can make my distributor successful, because there's not a blueprint for what that model looks like. Unfortunately, I think another aspect of this is we can't be everything to everyone. That's a big challenge we face too, because you're presented with incredible amounts of feedback on how to be a better vendor, and that might include certain policy suggestions or what products we need to add to our portfolio. And ideally, in a perfect world, you could snap your fingers and make everybody happy. But realistically, there are a lot of times where it's just not something we feasibly would be able to implement. So for an example, in the instance of product development, it takes a very long time to build up to that end result where you have a product in hand that can serve a market specifically. And a lot of what goes on behind the scenes to make those improvements might go unseen by the channel partner until we have actually something that is a finalized product. And so a lot of times the messaging can get lost that, hey, we hear you and we're taking into account what it is that you guys want from us, but you can't necessarily solve every problem. The other thing we have to take into account is what might not have been possible 5 years ago could be possible today. So that's why I always encourage our channel partners, tell us how we can be a better partner to you, because if something didn't work in the past, that doesn't mean we can't necessarily find a solution for that same problem now that we have new updated tools or new products. So I always just encourage open conversation and feedback.
As a manufacturer, we have to step back and look at our business holistically. So while a policy, for example, could help one distributor, it could hurt 5 others.
Absolutely.
And they're not trying to be greedy, they just don't have that visibility. Likewise, on the product side, if there's one request coming in, there's probably 20 requests coming in. We always say everything's possible with time and money, but we have limited engineering resources. So we prioritize based on what gets us the strategic advantage that we need or the most dollars, whatever makes us stronger, because the stronger we get, the more we can scale and work on more projects at the same time. What I do think is important, and hopefully we do a good job at, is letting you know that we've heard you as a customer or a distributor. We might say, I'm sorry, we can't work on your project this year. It might be a year or two out, but hopefully we're at least closing the loop and saying, we heard you, it's on our list, and as other projects get done, or Josh said, as things become feasible that weren't in the past, we'll get to them. So we do keep track of those. We continually want that feedback from our customers and our partners. If we keep going, what are some of the trade-offs of using a channel model compared to selling directly to an end user or an OEM?
I think one thing we are increasingly trying to get better at is understanding the markets we serve and how we can be better at serving those markets. And a challenge that's very specific, especially in the case of working with maybe a new distributor partner that we've signed up in an area that hasn't had historical coverage, is that we need to earn their trust for them to let us into their customer base. And so I can certainly understand them being protective of customers and not wanting to bring in a party that's still maybe a relatively unknown entity. But the other side of that coin is I think we're an incredible source of support and a great group of product experts to rely on. And after we have a few wins under our belts together, that's when the partnership really starts to gain momentum. So it's on us. The onus is always on us to earn and build that trust up. And that's something that's not to be taken lightly. And it might be a little bit of a process to get there, but I think it is better for everybody when we're open about sharing information and serving our customers the best way. Because if you think about it, when we're brought into a project, it's better to get us in on the front end early. We're making sure that we're selecting the correct drive products for them. We're taking into account any ancillary components that might need to be built into the system. And maybe there's a very strange application where you wouldn't necessarily use what your mind would immediately go to in terms of the drive model. And so to help mitigate any mistakes in the long run and avoid disappointing that customer, we always want to be impactful as a manufacturer partner to our channel. So again, you'll hear me repeat it many times. Open communication, collaboration, that's the name of the game in order for us to be successful together. And I think everybody wins when we do that.
People like to talk about lowest total cost of ownership. And a lot of what you just said there does it. Because when you spec, size, and provide the right product the first time, it greatly cuts down on repeat touches of that customer interaction or that application. You don't have a product fail in 6 months because it wasn't the right thing, and now you have to credit a customer on a new product or a new system or spend hours on support. And then obviously building that relationship as well. As when you come in and do a great job, you don't undersell, you don't oversell, you hit the nail right on the head. They want to keep doing business with you. And Back to our channel partners, we're really looking for partners. We don't want to sign people up that are just going to throw a product up on a web page and sell it without any support, without any knowledge. Let someone just click through and buy it. So if it's a Yaskawa distributor, we know their competence level. We've agreed to be a partner with them because we can work together in that capacity to give our end customers the best possible experience working with our product. That being said, there are some cases where working with any manufacturer's product can get a little dicey. What I'm referring to here is the gray market. Can you explain a little about what the gray market is when it comes to industrial products?
Yeah, absolutely. So a gray market is what we refer to as buying a Yaskawa product. Most of the time it's online through an unauthorized third party. This is something we try to make people wary of because they may claim to be a distributor, but this might not necessarily be the case. We try to stay on top of this as much as possible. Unauthorized parties aren't permitted to use the Yaskawa logo on their websites. So that is truly an indicator of someone that we've chosen to be a partner with, is if they're represented with our logo on the website. We always try to guide our customers through our sales team and identify the correct partner to work with. Additionally, if you're ever unsure, we have a sales search function on our website, so you can locate a distributor from a trusted and verified source. This just indicates that, yes, this is somebody that we've vetted, is a true Yaskawa partner, and we have identified them as such.
That's probably our best single point of truth, correct? The search, because it's funny, as much as I love AI, you can ask questions like this even to AI, and it will get them wrong.
No doubt about that.
Especially if someone's claiming to be a distributor. And sometimes the devil's in the details. Usually selling gray market, that product's not going to have a warranty. But I've seen sellers that provide their own warranty. So you have to look at the fine print that says, yeah, we will give you a 2-year warranty. It doesn't say Yaskawa is giving you a 2-year warranty. It's amazing how tricky they can be out there. And then there's obvious ones too, like eBay. eBay more often than not is used parts, or maybe someone bought a part and didn't need it for a project got canceled and it's beyond the return date. But with a lot of manufacturers, the warranty may start when that item is sold. So even though it could be brand new and a legit product, you really have to be careful when it's anything other than a truly authorized distributor. So we've touched on it a little bit, but what else can go wrong when buying through an unauthorized channel?
Well, since they're not an authorized partner, we really may not share any true relationship with them whatsoever. And there's no knowing how they're going to be able to support their customers, if they even know or understand our products. If you're buying those products from them online, there's no way of knowing if they've maintained the integrity of those products. There's no way of truly understanding what it is that you're purchasing. Additionally, the loss of any type of pre-market support capabilities, like we talked about, in making sure that you've got the right form, fit, and function going into your equipment, that might not be the best offering, and you're only seeing what's available on the face of the website.
Let's change our focus a little back to the distributor. I already talked about how we like our distributors to be partners with us. When we're looking at who's going to make a good partner with us, what are the qualities that really make a distributor stand out?
Well, first I'll hit on having a truly collaborative relationship with each other. If we're able to suss out what are our strategies to grow together, what are our target accounts that we want to chase after together, having opportunities to do mutual business planning sessions, sit down and getting to know the team, really making that space to grow with each other. That is really what we're trying to look for a strong channel partner. And a lot of times we have distributors that maybe aren't starting out in that role, but can very well grow into it. It helps to really have someone who's a champion for your brand or your product at the distributor. So if there's someone who understands drives really well, they're probably going to understand the value offering that we're bringing to the table. And they can kind of help keep us top of mind where, hey, here's a motor opportunity where I'm going to be selling this motor to a customer. Well, let's also ask the question, is there an opportunity to work a drive into that as well? Simultaneously, the strongest distributors for us are going to lead with our product line. So we really want to go in with a partner that's choosing us above all else. And it really helps us because it's showing, hey, we're building that trust together. you have faith in us to lead with our product. We want to have faith in supporting you and helping you grow that business continuously. And I think above all else, the distributors that understand our value proposition are very successful. We make a fantastic drive in terms of quality. We have a lot invested in our support capabilities. And those are two things that differentiate us in the marketplace. And so we're not going to always compete with the down in the dirt pricing of other drives. Any competitor can sell on price, and that's just not where we live. That's not the customer we're going after. We're trying to get anyone who's involved in the buying process to understand that when you're buying a drive from us, you're not just buying a drive. You're buying the tech support that comes alongside it. You're buying the world-class training department that we have in place. You're buying a good night's sleep, because that quality product is not going to fail on you at 3 a.m. and you're going to have to go into your plant and change it out, right? So anyone who can understand that that is where we bring value to the table understands that this is how we get decision makers thinking about working with us as a vendor and a partner.
And I think at that distributor level, when they understand that value proposition, probably means that they own a very similar value proposition in their own company, in their own business. And that's why we partnered with them in the first place. So it's great to know that the end customer is going to have similar support for all the lines that that distributor might carry. And that distributor, again, has their best interest in place over just making a sale.
Right.
They want long-going relationships with their customers, just like we do with our distributors. Hopefully anyone who's been in sales long enough knows that you never sell the wrong product to somebody to make a buck, because you'll never get repeat business from that person. I have told customers they're overbuying before and got them into the right product, because that builds the relationship that's going to bring repeat business and just an ongoing relationship. And that's how we operate. That's how we want our distributors to operate. And for me to throw my personal plug in there, since I do marketing, I'm going to say that great distributors do great marketing. So I love the distributors that like to do email blasts and campaigns and really get on that personal level with all of their customers. But finishing up on this topic, how do strong distributors help customers beyond just that price and delivery?
Strong distributors can come in as the trusted experts for customers, understand the nuances of their needs. So, for example, they'll understand what the buying criteria for their customer is. What is keeping them up at night? Is it because they've had failures in the past and that's caused a lot of downtime, or it's caused a lot of headache for them and their maintenance teams? Or is it because they don't have a relationship with their manufacturer? They can't get on the phone with somebody and get the help or support that's needed in that moment in time. So when distributors can implement a solution to those types of concerns, it not only strengthens their relationship, but it makes their customers more successful in the process.
Yeah, absolutely. So to help all of our channel partners be as strong and successful as possible, what do we as Yaskawa do to enable their success?
So we invest very heavily in our support capabilities. So think about our tech support. They're 365, 24/7, and they're completely free. That's not really something a lot of people in the industry can tout as having as a support capability, but they're always there for our channel partners in case they need them. Our apps team can always be there on the front end to help support a sale and make sure that the product selection's right. We've got our own field sales engineers out there that can show up on site with our channel partners and help them get a better understanding or picture of what the entirety of the system looks like. We have an awesome inside sales team. Our channel partners speak very highly of how quick their service is, how great they are to work with, and how accurate they can get information from them. And then we also have what I think maybe our best selling tool is some of our factory tours. I think once people really see all of our quality practices that we put in place, it truly is like a seeing is believing moment, because we can sit here and talk about product quality all day long, and it is the tenet of how we became so strong and successful. But I think once you see, wow, Yaskawa has really invested in making sure that their products are going to do exactly what they say they're going to do right out of the box, it instills another sense of faith with not just channel partners, but their customers that they might bring up here too. So it's always something I encourage people to do. Come to the factory, take a tour, and I think it'll leave you pretty impressed.
Yeah, I've been in a lot of facilities over my career, and it is impressive. Track and traceability is a solution I used to sell in a previous life, and to see a drive being built and everything tied back to the serial number, including the boards that go in it and the torque of every screw on the drive, and it gets to the end of the line and it actually spins a motor, every single one of them. It is a testament. The facilities are clean. The people are happy working there, or so I think they are. It is a really fun tour. And as a manufacturing geek and as a technology geek, it is so cool to see how this kit of parts gets turned into this drive that can last decades if taken care of properly. So looking ahead, distribution models have been around for a long time, but technology, and I'm sure every generation says this, but technology is changing faster than ever before. How do you see the role of distributors evolving in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think we've already seen that change. The traditional buy, hold, sell distributor model has already moved into much more advanced offerings, and it's a way to continuously differentiate themselves in that marketplace. And I think where we'll eventually end up, you're going to see distributors bringing turnkey solutions to their customers, if not already, and further integration with different technologies. We've seen a big change, and you could probably speak to this better than I could, Greg, but implementation of all different types of communication protocols within their systems, things not being hardwired in anymore. It's all done over a network. And I think that the next step is also integrating other parts of how they practice their business into that. So you can even look at things like shared resources between us as a manufacturer and them as a distributor, where maybe there's a day down the line where our ERP systems get integrated and we can share a lot more information back and forth with each other, such as stocking information. We could get a better understanding of how they're going to market, which markets they're serving, and that in turn helps us provide better solutions for them down the line. So I think looking at a larger scaled integration could potentially be where things move forward down the line between the partner of a manufacturer and our shared customer base.
Yeah, I definitely see technology getting us there. And I will elaborate because I've seen at an end user level, a lot of engineering staffs, maintenance staffs too, shrinking down. Sometimes it's a skeleton crew and really just there to keep operations running, but the project teams are dwindling. So having channel, whether they can do integration work or they have local integration partners, that's another great way they can set themselves up. I feel like more and more end users are relying on their vendors or on engineering houses as opposed to having in-house engineering. That's a trend I see coming our way, and that's a great way for a company to differentiate themselves and really stand out in the marketplace. What opportunities do you think exist for Yaskawa and our partners to grow together?
Yeah, as we continue looking forward, I think there's still a lot of untapped markets that we could dive deeper into and get an understanding of how to service those customers better. And we're always looking at how we can be stronger players there. So taking an approach of deeper, not wider, is always good in my opinion, because we've already talked to these customers. We have a lot of established, trusted customers. And if we can serve them better and look at opportunities where maybe we can't currently service them with our portfolio or our offering, that might be a first good step into winning more wallet share there, but also just being a better collaborative partner to our channel partners and our customers all in one. Additionally, one thing that will be a timeless instance in distribution is having that local trust, application knowledge, and service. So I think as time goes on, I really want to have a more robust offering for our channel partners to be trained on our products and our processes, and especially as we have newer individuals coming into the industry who have maybe never laid hands on a drive, we want them to understand all the value that we bring to the table. So I've been working on some things behind the scene to help maybe do some better onboarding for that type of stuff as well. So growing together really starts at the beginning of the relationship, and the sooner we can get people started with us, the sooner we can get them to the point where they feel like they're an expert with us.
Excellent. It sounds like we have a great path forward with our distributors. One thing that comes to mind is everybody seems to want to sell subscriptions these days, so maybe our distributors will sell drives as subscriptions in the future.
I don't think it's unheard of. No, not at all.
Who knows what that might bring. But we're getting close to our end of time here, so let's go through some final thoughts. Why does distribution still matter in 2025 and beyond, in an era where there's so much online shopping available and e-marketing and everything? Why does distribution still matter?
I think that you can kind of parallel this with Yaskawa. If you've ever seen any of our branding out there, you'll see something that really rings true in all the messaging we do, and that's the "it's personal" touch. It's very apparent in every aspect of our culture, and all of the employees that work at our company are trying to do what's right to make the customer happy. And I think that extends to distribution as well. In that ever-growing digital world where everything's just a few clicks away, there's just not going to be that same fulfillment of ordering a product online. There's so much value a distributor brings to the table in terms of having a local resource, in building a long-term relationship with somebody that you've trusted, and ultimately providing that turnkey solution that we've talked about them growing into. So I think that distribution is definitely going to change over time. There's a path forward where things evolve, but I think the core components of that are still going to ring true. It's all about dealing with people, and that is what's going to differentiate channel partners from the rest of the world in terms of buying practices.
Yeah, I can go online and buy a lot of parts, but I'm not going to have that personal touch. I'm not going to have someone to assure me that what I'm buying is the proper thing, or to support it, or even do a startup on it if it's a technical product. And that's where I really see the distribution model being so strong, and choosing the right partners to have in our channel that will help us be successful decade after decade. I'm sure some of our listeners out there actually work in our distribution channel. Is there anything you'd like to say to them if they're listening in?
Absolutely. I invite all of our distributors to come up to our factory, get to know us better. We've got awesome training classes. We can take you on the tours of the facilities. And even if you've been up here before, there's a ton of exciting stuff on the horizon with Yaskawa that we love to show off and talk about our future. So whether it's training, factory tours, we have a lot of pride in what we do. That radiates through all of our teams at Yaskawa, and we love to show it off. And a large part of what makes us successful is our partnerships and knowing who it is that we're working with, building that relationship. So come on up and join us.
Yeah, and if you are not a distributor, if you're an end user or an OEM and have a similar desire, reach out to your local distributor or your local regional drive specialist and learn more about the company. And we can set up trips where you could come up with your distributor or your local RDS, as we call them, and see all of this firsthand. And that's going to bring us to a close on today's episode. Big thanks to Josh Julius for joining us and offering a behind-the-scenes look at the strategy, structure, and day-to-day realities of managing a distribution network in the industrial automation space.
Thanks for having me, Greg.
I hope today's conversation gave you a deeper appreciation for the value of strong relationships, local support, and the trust that comes with being part of something built for long-term success. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please like or follow this podcast to stay informed when new episodes launch. And if we're doing a great job, please leave us a 5-star review. Thanks for joining us, and as always, we'll see you next time on VFD Vibes.